What is up, guys? I'm here to do a discussion on One Piece, and I'm gonna have to be quick because the camera has like a 26 minutes limit before it stops the recording now. I don't know what's going on with that. It's a good thing. I'm trying to keep these under a time limit because I do have other stuff to do, and I sort of ramble on more than I want to. So let's just skip to the end. All right, this has to be said first off. It's probably the pinnacle of this chapter, and the one key thing that most people who read it discreetly and very carefully noticed, and it is the item that Luffy is holding. By the way, spoiler alert, first and final warning. Do I have to shout out the spoiler alert before every video? Do you guys think I can drop that to save some time now? Let me know in the comments. Anyhow, in this chapter of One Piece, the latest one, 735, this is it. The last page, by the way, I'm going to tell you. In the last page, we got, well, excuse me, it's not Luffy. It's not Lucy either. It's a guy masquerading as Lucy. And at this point, it's like 100% confirmed that this guy is the I forgot his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. He is the childhood friend of Luffy and Ace back in that flashback that took like 50 chapters, and he has somehow survived and is on his way again. And there's so much to be said here, because this guy was different, and I'm astonished because I want to see what he's like now. I guarantee you he's really strong. Based on the build-up of the chapter and the chapters before, as far as a storyline critique goes, as far as me being like a critic and an experienced reader of just fictional stories as a whole, I can guarantee you that this build-up will not be disappointed. The way it was built up, the way it is, like, there's only two possible scenarios. One is that this guy is just as strong or close to as strong as Luffy, or this guy is exceptionally weak, and that would be some sort of like slapstick humor sort of thing. And based on how it's structured, I don't think that will be the case. There is that like 1% chance that it'll be some sort of a humorous like gotcha, this guy's actually super weak, but based on the build-up, I don't see that happening. So it's like it's pretty much confirmed. Like if you want to talk to anyone who's been really following up on chapters, it's pretty much been confirmed via the chapters themselves that that there's enough evidence to point this without a doubt to that childhood friend of Luffy and Ace. On top of the last statement that was made in this chapter, which was this guy in his head saying, "Watch over me, Ace." And it's obvious that like this whole chapter made it very clear that this is not Luffy anymore. This is his friend. And based on how he was crying, Luffy was crying and so forth, this is the guy. So let's just get that out of the way and move on. The pipe. Okay. This is very strange. At first, it looked like just a smoking pipe. And it is. But it's actually very, very long. It's like a staff. If I look closely at it, there's nothing remarkable about it. The closest thing it reminds me of is obviously Nami's sort of stick thing, but it's different. However, there's something I like about this chapter, because the way it was sort of like he was sort of displayed, like we still don't see his face, we always see him from afar, we see him do a few poses, make a few say a few words here and there in this chapter. And the first thing I noted here was that he is actually, in a lot of ways, very much like Luffy. His mannerisms are give or take like Luffy, not exactly the same, but similar. And that was done so extricably well by the author to make his mannerisms and character just so similar to Luffy and yet slightly different to the point where you know it's someone different. And that was achieved by a few, like a few things. Like his frame is similar to Luffy, but not exactly. His clothing is different from Luffy, though. The fact that Rebecca immediately recognized a difference, another thing. However, the similarities, how he got the wrong name of that guy who I also got the wrong name of. The barrier dude. He got the wrong name of that. And on top of that, when he was stretching before entering the finals for the Coliseum, he stretched in the exact same way that Luffy did, which was that sort of thing where he like crouches and he crouches his legs, bends his legs, and sort of stretches one and then the other. That's pretty much just like Luffy does, which reminded me of something. Oh, his name is Bartholomew. Bartholomew. He got his name wrong too, and so I honestly really like this dude so far. I really want to see where he goes, and that reminded me because it reminded me of the flashback, and it reminded me of the fact that this guy was a lot more like Luffy than he was to Ace, despite them all being close friends. He was also about Luffy's age, so I mean, despite Ace being like in that group as well, Ace was more, he was always like the bigger brother. He was like the one who was a lot more mature, a lot more experienced, and a lot more stronger than them at all times. In fact, I truly think that Ace was always stronger than Luffy in power level up until the point he died. That's not saying that Ace was even, he probably didn't even crack the top 10 or 20 or even 30 in the One Piece universe that we know of as of yet. 30 is a little harsh, but I would say the top 5 or 10, because I mean the Yonko, the old Yonko, Goldie Roger's first mate. I mean, these people are already like, that's already over 10, over 5. But let's break it off to another thing here. Rebecca's mom was revealed to be the older sister of Violet or Viola, which is, in my opinion, quite amazing. Immediately, I made that sort of connection. Like, why exactly is her mom so weak? Like, she had no devil fruit ability. And Violet's fairly strong, like not exactly in terms of fighting capabilities, but her I guess you could call it what would you call that? It starts with the C. Clandestine abilities? No. Her psychic abilities, whatever. Those are in a lot of ways very, very exceptional. Like, you can pretty much scout the whole area and know everything, no matter who's hiding or whatever, which is, like, in a lot of ways very, very useful if you really think about it. Like, if you really think about the potential for its use. Finally, let's get to the Coliseum finals. So it's finally here. Obviously, Bartholomew, being such a huge fan, he has to forfeit. Most likely he's going to help this guy. I totally forgot his name, but he's going to help Lucy out, and then when it's just Lucy and him, he's going to automatically forfeit. Why? Because he's such a huge fan of Luffy and the crew. It's so obvious by his mannerisms and personality. Although he is very, very strong, I would definitely not mind him filling a position in the One Piece crew. But it's gotten to a point where it's like Luffy's just asking for members. He's no longer like assigning them a role anymore. Back when it started, it was like, Nami, you're the navigator. Usopp, you are the marksman. And everything was like fairly set in stone. And I really liked that, and it was never really fully executed. Like, with the only times really Usopp was a marksman, um, were the times I loved. He used like the cannons on his ship like once or twice, but that was it. And then that time when he was masquerading as what do you call himself? Uh, the Archer King or whatever. Um, I thought that was one of the golden opportunities where he was sort of garnered as like this sniping hero, Soldier King, the sniper hero. But after that, it was like after the time skip, like he's just this like plant dude anymore. And I always wanted him to fight that guy from Blackbeard's crew with the who has like the guns and like the sniper eye, because it would have been a fight about accuracy and sharpshooting and so forth. But that never has occurred. Maybe it will in the future. I don't know. Um, and so I think they're probably going to win. However, this mysterious like uh, I guess you could call it like king or king of the Colosseum, the winner, the champion of the Colosseum. I think I think he's probably like that guy under the Don Quixote family. It's probably one of Don Flamingo's like big guys. So nothing huge there. He's probably really strong. It's probably going to be a big fight. Um, the point of that, what was the point of that? It was probably to capture Luffy. Although at the same time, it seemed like a stupid sort of point. Um, but I guess Don Flamingo got his sort of feathers caught up in more important stuff. So I think his plan really was to use all his resources to capture Luffy after he was lured into the Colosseum. But that never occurred. Finally, we got this guy who's he's this blind old man, and he's an admiral. Now, is he the admiral or vice admiral? Okay, he's one of the admirals, and he's saying all this stuff about he's only going to side with this guy for now to protect the villagers, and then he wants the Shishibukai abolished because he knows of all the crap Don Flamingo has done to this country. How he knows all that when he's blind, who knows? And then it's quite weird. Don Flamingo immediately attacks in the middle of his speech, and the blind man's like, "Let's be friends for now. I'll protect your country. I'm just a blind man. This is a year of reverie, whether you like it or not. A lot of stuff are going to happen," which is so true. I mean, a couple years of during the time skip, it was probably very peaceful. But then Luffy comes back. It's like you've got to blow the house off the roof. By the way, I am so mad Toriko has not been out for the last 3 weeks. It's like probably one of the top mangas I've been waiting for each week, which is why I even did a Toriko video, despite there not being a Toriko episode, just summing up things. Anyhow, before this, I'm just going to keep going. If this video cuts me off, I'm sorry. As always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. But I'm going to keep going. The next thing is, as far as I know here, like the Marines are playing the real good guy part. Honestly, like One Piece as a whole is always surreptitiously sort of painting Luffy and his crew as the hero, good guy sort of pirates. But when I look at it from an objective view, at least in this arc, the Marines are not terrible people. They're here to, well, at least the Admiral is. The Marines are kind of bad people. I mean, they're blindly taking down pirates yet again, trying to kill the Straw Hat crew, as is the Admiral. So that's not so admirable. Get the pun? But honestly, it's not, because that's what's causing a lot of trouble in a lot of arcs. Just the Marines being stupid and just attacking pirates, who are actually very helpful, i.e. the Straw Hat crew. So here they are again, trying to fight Frankie and the other people. Terrible. And we got the Admiral here, who I think he's a boss, and he's honestly trying to overall right the wrongs that's going on. And then finally, before I forget, there's the two guys of the Don Quixote family, the Diamante Army, Executive Machiaviste, which I guess he's just like a big fat guy who uses his body to fight. Like he just smashes down on people. And I guess he represents the spade for the four suits of the playing cards sort of thing. And then we have the other guy who I forgot his name, but he has the fruit ability where he can swim through the walls and the ground. And honestly, I don't think this guy. Okay, his name's Senior Pink. Senior Pink. Senior Pink. He doesn't seem like that bad a guy because, like, he seems to have stopped a missile attack by standing in front of it in order to protect his crew. So it's not horrible, but we'll see what's going on. The fact that they are following Don Flamingo at the end of the day means they're bad. So maybe it's just me pulling on my heartstrings too much for the bad guys yet again. We'll see what's going on, and let me know in the comments if you want. As always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe.